Very good morning to all my dear students. Today we are going to discuss about the drafting of complaint under section 138 of the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. But before starting with the drafting of the said complaint, I just want to recapitulate certain important points which must be kept in mind while drafting the complaint under section 138 of the Negotiable Instrument Act by a law student or by a lawyer. So let's start with the same. My dear students, as you all are aware that the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881 was originally drafted in 1866 by the Third Indian Law Commission and introduced in 1867 in the Council, and it was referred to a select committee. Thereafter, on the recommendation of the new law commission, the bill was redrafted and again it was sent to the new select committee, and thus it was the fourth time that in the year 1881 this act came into existence. The act was enacted as an attempt to consolidate the law relating to promissory note, bills of exchange, and checks. Further, the main object of the act was to legalize the system by which instrument contemplated by it could pass from hand to hand by negotiation like any other goods. Further, my dear students, another purpose of the act was to encourage the culture of use of checks and enhancing the credibility of the instrument. Following a century of the enactment of the NI Act, Section 138 to 142 were inserted in the Act, while Section 4 of the Banking, Public Financial Institution and Negotiable Instrument Laws Amendment Act of 1988, and these sections came into force with effect from 29th March 1989. But before starting with the understanding about the dishonor of check on the ground of insufficiency of funds as laid down under section 138 of the Negotiable Instrument Act, I just want to define the expression or the word check. As far as the word check is concerned, it is defined under section 6 of the Negotiable Instrument Act, wherein it is laid down as under a check is a bill of exchange drawn on a specified banker and not expressly to be payable otherwise than on demand, and it includes electronic image of a truncated check and a check in electronic form. Further explanation 1 to the said section, that is section 6 of the Negotiable Instrument Act, provides that a check in the electronic form means a check which contains the exact mirror image of a bearer check and is generated, written, and signed in a secure system, ensuring the minimum safety standard with the use of digital signature and asymmetric crypto system. Clause B. A truncated check means a check which is truncated during the course of a clearing cycle either by the clearing house or by the bank, whether paying or receiving payment immediately or generation of an electronic image for transmission, substituting the further physical movement of the check in writing. Further, there is an explanation to the said section 6, which provides that for the purpose of this section, the expression clearing house means the clearing house managed by RBI, that means Reserve Bank of India, or a clearing house recognized as such by the RBI. Now, let's go to the law laid down under section 138. Though section 138 Negotiable Instrument Act penalizes the dishonor of a check, however, dishonor of check is by itself not an offense under section 138 of an NI Act. To become an offense, the following ingredients have to be satisfied. So my dear students, while drafting a complaint under section 138 of the NI Act, you must bear in mind the following 5 essential elements. These are: number 1, drawing of a check; number 2, presentation of the check to the bank; number 3, return of the check by the drawee bank; number 4, issuance of notice in writing to the drawer of the check demanding payment of the check amount; and number 5, failure of the drawer to make the payment within 15 days of the receipt of the notice. So my dear students, these are the 5 essential ingredients of an offense or provided under section 138 of the Negotiable Instrument Act. Now my dear student, as you all are aware that there is a time limit prescribed for putting or filing a case before the court of law under section 138 of the Negotiable Instrument. The check has to be presented within a period of 6 months from the date on which it is drawn, or within the periods of its validity, whichever is earlier. My dear students, to this there is a RBI notification which reads as under: the RBI wide notification number so and so has made the period of the validity of check to be 3 months. Hence, as of now, the check has to be presented within 3 months from the date on which it is drawn. So this is also one of the time limit to be kept in mind by a law student for drafting a complaint under section 138. Second, the payee or the holder in due course of the check has to make a demand for payment of the amount due by giving a notice in writing to the drawer within the 30 days of the receipt of information by him from the bank regarding dishonor of check. This is so provided under section 138 proviso B. Number C, the drawer of the check has failed to make the payment of the amount to the payee or to the holder in due course within 15 days of the receipt of the said notice. Thereafter, the complaint has to be filed within 1 month of the date on which the cause of action arises under clause C of the proviso to section 138 NI Act. This is so laid down under section 142 of Negotiable Instrument Act. So from this, my dear students, we may infer that there is a time limit for doing certain acts. So my dear students, this is the time limit which has to be kept in mind while drafting a complaint under section 138 NI Act. As far as the 1 month time limit for filing the complaint is concerned, the same is to be computed from the date of the cause of action. Now the question is, on which date this cause of action arose? The Supreme Court has held that in the case of Indra Kumar Patodia versus Reliance Industries, AIR 2013 Supreme Court held that for computing the period of limitation, one has to consider the date of the filing of the complaint or the initiation of the criminal proceedings and not the date of the taking of the cognizance by the magistrate. So my dear student, the relevant date is the date of the filing of the complaint or the initiation of proceeding and not the cognizance date by the magistrate. So with this background, my dear students, we will move further and will provide you or will discuss with you the format for filing a complaint under section 138 Negotiable Instrument Act. So let's start with the same. As you all are aware that for filing a complaint under section 138, the same needs to be filed before the judicial magistrate first class. So the complaint would be filed before or in the court of judicial magistrate first class. In this particular format, we are taken the jurisdiction of Dwarka District Court. As such, we have put like that. Dwarka District Court, New Delhi, pin code so and so. Thereafter, it's a criminal complaint number. So thereafter, we have to put the criminal complaint number so and so year. Thereafter, we have to give the nomenclature to the parties as such. So the complainant as well as the accused or the respondent in this case, we put like that: A, son of so and so, residence of so and so; B, son of so and so, resident of so and so. Thereafter, we have to mention the police station under whose jurisdiction the case falls. Thereafter, we have to give the designation to the complaint or designation to the particular complaint filed under section 138. So the subject of the same is that complaint under section 138 of the Negotiable Instrument Act. Thereafter, we have to respectfully submit it before this honorable court. Now, the facts of this case are that there is Mr. A or the complainant is Mr. So-and-so, who is the landlord, and he has given his property on rent to Mr. So-and-so, to the respondent herein, and the respondent has failed, and the respondent thereafter, in consideration of the payment of his lease amount or the rent amount, has given him the check. Thereafter, on presenting the said check was bounced or due to insufficiency of funds. So these are the facts on the basis of which we have to prepare this complaint. So the first paragraph would be written as that the complainant is the owner and the landlord of property named so and so, comprising a 2 BHK flat, hereinafter referred to as the said property. Number two, that the landlord has leased this property, this above named property, to the accused oblique respondent dated so and so for an amount of rupees so and so. The true copy of the agreement is annexed herewith as annexure number so and so. Number three, that the tenant on Itna handed over check bearing number so and so to the landlord to be drawn from SBI Bank for the month of October, November, December so and so. The copy of the said checks is annexed herewith as annexure number so and so. Number four, that the complainant deposited the said check in his account with SBI New Delhi on so and so, but the same was dishonored due to insufficiency of bank balance. The returning memo in respect of the said check is herewith annexed as annexure number so and so. Thereafter, that the complainant on Itna gave a notice to the respondent regarding dishonor of check and asked him to pay his due for the previous months, and the copy of the notice is annexed herewith as annexure number so and so. That the respondent, after receipt of the said notice or letter, failed to comply with the instruction for the repayment of the rent due. That the complainant has complied with all the necessary requirement of Section 138 of the NI Act, and the check above named was presented within the time to the bank. The demand of the payment by the plaintiff was done within 15 days from the receipt of the information regarding dishonoring of checks. That the complainant, after expiry of the 1 month of the said letter, has now approached this honorable court. That this honorable court has the jurisdiction to entertain and try the matter as the present case is within the jurisdiction of the court. Next, that the present complaint is filed within the limitation period. That the proper court fees has been duly submitted to this honorable court. Now, in the end, you have to make the prayer before the honorable court. It is most respectfully prayed before this honorable court to pass the following order or orders. Number one, to pass an order summoning the defendant and be tried and punished under Section 138 of the NI Act. Number two, to pass an order to the respondent to pay the rent due. Number three, to pass an order to direct the respondent to pay the double the amount or to go for give imprisonment for a term of 2 years to the respondent oblique accused. Or last, to pass any other order which this honorable court may deem fit in the light of the present facts and circumstances of the case. Thereafter, the application needs to be signed by the complainant and may also be signed by his advocate as well. The application must also bear the place of the filing of the application as well as the date on it. So this is all about today's lecture. But before parting with the today's lecture, I just want to apprise you, all my dear students, about my new topic, which I am going to take in my next lecture. In my next lecture, I am going to discuss with you all the drafting of an application under Section 482 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. Thank you very much. Stay safe and stay healthy. We'll meet you soon in my next lecture.